like you, I was disappointed today because I was expecting to hear a fantastic win in Kentucky. I was looking for the impossible to become possible, the upset victory of Charles Booker over Amy McGrath. I wanted that to happen, man. I was pulling forward. I was feeling that. I was like, yeah, this is going to go down. And it was looking like it was going to happen, and then something else happened, and it's unfortunate.
And what will certainly be an uphill fight for her in a very red state in the fall, but one that will get plenty of national attention, I'm sure. Basically, what's happened here is the primary for in-person voting was last week in Kentucky, but of course there were some votes that were cast in person last week. There were a lot more votes that were cast by mail, and that's what county by county has been released this morning in Kentucky. A lot of these counties had given us what the vote was on Election Day last week, but again, that was a small share of it. Today we were getting the mail-in totals, and a couple things emerged from this. Number one, basically you can see it. The darker shade here is McGrath. Geographically, McGrath is winning county after county. There were two main sources of strength for Charles Booker. One was his home base around Louisville, Jefferson County. That's a biggie. That's a quarter of the state in terms of the Democratic electorate. The other was around the University of Kentucky in Lexington, the second biggest county. Together, these two counties, about 35% of the vote in this primary. So we wanted to see, was Booker going to get big enough margins out of these counties to withstand what was to come from McGrath across the rest of the state? About an hour ago, we got the results from Lexington and Louisville. And even with that, Booker was still about 2,000 votes short of McGrath. And you can see as every other county has come in, that lead has built for McGrath. It's up to 10,000. There's not a lot left here. So McGrath is going to win this, is going to advance to face McConnell. And I think the other significance of this is what voting, this is what elections are going to look like in a lot of states this November. And I think it's something to keep in mind. You know, for the last week, we were looking at very, very partial, very, very incomplete results. For instance, I'm going to show you this one right here. This is Fayette County, Lexington, second biggest in the state. Now, look, Booker ends up winning this county by 6 points. For the last week, though, we had very partial results that showed Booker ahead by 50 points. That was from the same day vote. Very small share. That was released right away. That had Booker up 50. That vast sea of mail-in ballots, though, very different. And it cut a 50-point Booker lead down to 6. So keep that in mind. I think everywhere across the country, we're probably going to get partial results, election night right away, and then an ocean of mail-in ballots that could be very, very different.
So what they're saying there is something that I've noticed in many of these races. This pandemic has put a stranglehold on voter turnout in a way that really impacted this election. I mean, I think that if it wasn't for the fact that a lot of mail-in ballots went out very early, very, very early. That's notwithstanding the fact that Amy McGrath had $40 million and Charles had like $1 million. That's notwithstanding. I understand that. But he still almost beat her. And I think that's due to the fact that a lot of people already mailed in their ballots and voted. They voted before they even knew who Charles Booker was or his real vision or the overwhelming amount of ads that she was able to run, the overwhelming amount of support she was able to garner from the establishment creatures in the Democratic Party, the leadership that gave her Nancy Pelosi's and the Hillary Clinton's. Oh, God, I don't know how that happened. I think those are the things that decided this race in the favor of Amy McGrath. But even with all of that against him, Charles Booker almost pulled off the impossible. And I understand. Look, almost is only good in horseshoes and shooting range. Horseshoes, I know. Darts and horseshoes. That's the only place it counts. But it should count here. It should count here because this, my friends, is how we need to run campaigns. This is how we need to do it. I'm hearing word that Charles Booker ran a spotless campaign. It was the best campaign. It was amazing. It was fluidity of message, on point, no fluffs, no what Joe Biden would call getting lost in the mall, no forgetting the keys, losing the luggage, a couple bottles short of a six-pack. Any of those, none of those moments, no Joe Biden moments where you turn an easy layup into a difficult shot of 300-degree shot from half court with your eyes closed. eating a sandwich. That's what, didn't happen here. Charles Booker, amazing race. Amazing race. And the thing about it that, I don't know, that even sours me more about the whole situation is just knowing who's going to be representing Kentucky when this is all said and done. I mean, I'm looking beyond Amy McGrath winning. I'm looking at Mitch McConnell coming back again. Because that's exactly what's going to happen, Johnson. We're talking about giving Kentuckians the choice between a real Republican and a fake Republican. The fake Republican would be Amy McGrath. Oh, come on, guys. She called herself a Trump Democrat. A Trump Democrat. Her plan was to run against McConnell, and her point against him was going to be he's not helping Donald Trump achieve his vision. Yeah, she's going to try to run to the right of Trump. So what we learn here is what we've already learned. So I guess we get another opportunity to relearn it. The Democratic Party is very happy with losing as long as they don't have to win with the progressive. See, there are people on the conservative side who every once in a while they catch my videos. They hear me go to town on I don't know, in this case, Amy McGrath, and they'll think, I like this Tim Black. He calls out the Democrats. He must be one of us. I'm one of the people that speak truth to power. Now, all you have to do is realize that your party sucks too. Yeah, that party you follow, they suck too. Both parties suck, Johnson. And until you realize that, you'll never understand anything. Until you realize that both parties sucks, you'll be confused. Forever confused. Amy McGrath doesn't have a chance of beating Mitch McConnell. Moscow Mitch is going to be just fine. The Mitch will continue to be a Mitch. And there's no way that Amy's going to stop him, because if you're a conservative in a red state, why would you go for the fake Republican when you got the real thing? The guy who's carrying the mantle for Republicans, the guy who stands next to Trump. Trump's not going to embrace Amy McGrath. So it'll be a huge turnout. No one's excited about Amy McGrath. Only person excited about Amy McGrath is Amy McGrath. The whole point is to foil the true left. And I don't know when people are going to get it, that these centrists, these people that do a lot of platitudes, who talk a lot of smoke, bluster about helping the working people, these fake, and meanwhile they take money from pharmaceutical industries and Wall Street and banks and all these special interest groups who take dark money. These people are not the left, they're corporate Democrats. Please stop saying you got a Democratic mayor, you got a Democratic. If they are centrist, they are Republican. They are Republicans. They're corporate Democrats. Charles Booker was running on things that matter for the people. So I'm sorry about the fact that, once again, we're proving right about the Democratic Party, about what's their priority, and it ain't us. Mr. Booker was endorsed by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and AOC and countless others. Countless others on the progressive side of the issues. The thing about Elizabeth Warren and that pisses me off is that it just goes to show you that she knows better. And when she doesn't do better, it's because she chose not to do better, like endorse Bernie Sanders. But in this case, she endorsed Charles Booker, which she's catching heat for right now. They're all catching heat for it right now. McGrath, on the other hand, she was endorsed by all the establishment creatures, all of the swamp things that lurk the halls, the Chuck Schumers, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Hillary Clintons, the Neera Tandons, the all of those. But if I can speak completely honest, just plainly, I like to say, Charles Booker inspired me, man. Yeah, he inspired me. It's like Isaiah James, one of those young people who I felt have an intangible sincerity and realness in their delivery. They're on the right side of the issues. They haven't been contaminated by Washington, D.C., and they have a vision that matches the vision that I see, that I think of when I think of a country I'd like to live in. The world I like for my children to be left, my grandchildren to inhabit, and your grandchildren and their grandchildren and our neighbors. And Charles Booker is that. And with that, though we are disappointed, it's okay to be disappointed. What you can't do, you can visit disappointment, but don't stay there. Don't live there. Don't unpack your bags, because we got things to do. Just know that there are Charles Bookers out there, and they're running. Like Jamal Bowman in New York's 16th District, sometimes we win, and we must duplicate the winning formulas that make that possible. Charles Booker's got a bright future ahead of him, just so does Isaiah James. Amy McGrath, not so much. She won, but she will lose. Because her policies are not winners for the people. And not to rub salt in the wound, this is one of the reasons why I feel so strongly about Charles Booker.
Yeah, we do. We need that down here. You know, I can't afford my water. Our water's dirty. You know what? We need free college. We need everybody to have health care. She was on a roll. That is the fighting spirit that you're seeing all across Kentucky. Like, you know, people stereotype us and tell us who we are and never listen to us. Folks are really fired up all across Kentucky. The work, big picture, is helping to break down our silos and the barriers that Mitch McConnell has weaponized and exploited that would make us believe that we're divided, that we're actually fighting different battles, when the truth is we have so much more in common than otherwise. And we have a common enemy right now. It's poverty, and it's the man that's perpetuating it and masterminding, profiting off of it, who calls himself the Grim Reaper. In the West End, where I live, we have much more in common with Appalachia than the rest of Louisville. Unemployment in the neighborhood I live in has been close to 30% for years. Industries left, we've been abandoned. They never came back. We only have a couple of places where we can get fresh food, a couple of grocery stores for a population around 75,000. And our infrastructure is crap. Like, our internet is terrible. I mean, if you need public transportation, it's so inconsistent. Millions of people across our country are seeing the bottom fall out. And they understand it's because we did not prioritize. We haven't invested in people. You know, a lot of people that supported Donald Trump, it was because he was actually speaking to them and he called out that the system is broken. Now, he was selling snake oil and he was weaponizing racism and hate. But for a lot of people that were just barely hanging on and lost everything, to have someone say that, hey, the system is broke, you're not being treated right, and I'm going to fight for you, meant something to them. And we got to honor that. The reality is, when you listen to people, you will understand that they want Medicare for all. They want a Green New Deal. So this opportunity for us now is to speak that truth and to push back on the narrative that we don't want progress in Kentucky, because we damn sure need it. It's past due, because we've been dying, we've been struggling, and we've had folks like Mitch McConnell telling us that the enemy is one another, and we're done with that. What I know for sure is that this moment demands courageous leadership that will stand on the front lines. And as I stood locking arms and marching with my community, my family in protests, not only here in Louisville, but across Kentucky, getting hit with tear gas myself, I was reaffirmed by a Commonwealth that saw my vision and my conviction. They know that when times get rough, I'm going to stand with them, because I've stood with them. On the picket line, in the halls of government, in the streets, I'm going to show up. And that sets me apart, because I'm not playing politics. I'm not BSing. I'm going to speak the truth about structural change every single place I go. And I'm going to meet people where they are and show love and build this coalition that we need to transform our future and beat Mitch McConnell in the process. Senator Sanders endorsing at the same time that the Herald Leader, then the Courier Journal, two anchor institutions in Kentucky, and then Matt Jones, one of the biggest voices in our Commonwealth, which speak to a lot of conservative voters, just showing how we are building this the right way, that we're not playing politics, that we're bringing everyone to the table, because the issues of structural change affect everybody. That's the moment that we got to seize. We can't miss it and let people define us and put us in small boxes and try to wash away the fact that this coalition is going to pull in folks that voted for Trump. This coalition is going to pull in folks that never voted for Ford. This coalition is going to inspire people that have been hoping that Democrats would get a backbone and fight for them for a change. This coalition is going to win.
That's right, y'all. Give it up for Charles Booker, y'all. He'll be all right. He'll be back. We ain't seen the last of him. If the news you watch makes you more confused after you watch it, watch The Tim Black Show and know what's going on. Go to patreon.com, Tim's Take Live. Join today.